Today we are here for another session on the particular poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. In our first session, we have talked about feminism. We have touched upon a little bit experience about the poet, her career, and her experiences or observations about women nature. And I have shared in that particular introduction that a woman knows the real pangs and the pathos of the situation, especially I'm talking about rather in terms of married life. When she comes from a different family and she has to she has to cope up all the problems, and definitely she is going to be the victim. And when she becomes a victim, she has to compensate in different forms. Sometimes it becomes divorce. Sometimes it becomes in the form of physical harassment. Sometimes she is thrown away of the family and she has no place to settle down, to breathe. That becomes the situation of a woman. Might be that in our small experience we have seen in our society, in our family sometimes, that okay, this is going to be the condition of women. So from that perspective, we have to read the poem. And before we read the poem, one thing is very important, that is empathy. Empathy, I have already discussed that this is a German word, Einfühlung. Einfühlung, this is the original word of the word empathy, that means feeling into. Before you sympathize, you have to be empathetic. Because until and unless you become emotionally tuned with that particular person, with that particular situation or instance, you cannot be sympathetic. So you can see that empathy is the preparation stage or preparatory stage of sympathy. Today I will talk about the summary of the poem and we will deal with first two stanzas if time permits, because we are not going to extend the video. Again, I'm seeing that this is my laptop only to have the PDF file. Whenever you will get the reflection in my class, it means I'm looking at that particular poem. So here I'm talking about Sarojini Naidu because we have to learn it, or we have to get the essence of the poem from the perspective of Indian situation or Indian circumstance. Sarojini Naidu, she is another activist. She has written several poems regarding the freedom of women, regarding the individualistic aspects of women, these and that. But ultimately we are talking about two poems where she has mentioned that the life of a woman is divided into three phases. The first phase is daughter. Second phase is a married woman, recently married, rather a bride. And the third stage is a mother. And the name of the poem is, if you're interested to read the poem, you can read the poem. The name of that particular poem is The Bangle Sailors. It's an awesome piece of creation by that particular poet. So there are three stages that she has mentioned in that particular poem. Daughter, recently married, and mother. What is common in all three phases is this, that nowhere she is able to fulfill her expectations, her dreams that she had cherished. Rather, she has been cherishing. That's a problem. When you are a daughter, you have so many dreams. You want to reach to the mountain top. You want to see everything in this world. You want to explore the world. But before that time comes, your parents get ready for marriage. And that whenever that gets settled, definitely all the dreams get shattered and battered. So again, unfulfillment of dreams and expectations. Second stage. Recently married lady. When she comes to the family, this is the portion I have talked a lot, because marriage is an institution where patriarchy actually rules. Men show their power to dominate. So definitely when you come as a bride, you are the person who has to cope up all the problems, whether it's good, whether it's bad, all the family problems, family situations, complexities, contradictions, ambiguities in the family. But it is expected that when that lady comes to the family, immediately in the next day, she will be an expert person to handle those things. And if there is a problem, if there is any gap of expectation, definitely there is no compromise. And at that point of time, she is really busy with her new family members and to fulfill their expectations. Rather, it's the time for the newly bride lady to prove herself that she is an eligible bride. And especially in front of that groom, before that groom. Because every step she has to prove, she has to give an affirmation that she deserves that man, so-called husband. And the third stage that she has talked about is mother. That's the last stage where she, according to her, a lady gets her fulfillment, the complete meaning of a lady by being a mother. Because when you become a mother, it means that you are successful. You are given the certificate to control a family. You feed the family. Feed in terms of food, feed in terms of emotional food, feed in terms of mental food, everything. Everything. As if she is the fulfiller. And in the meantime, there is a huge gap inside the mind of that mother that nobody cares. And ultimately, at that particular poem, she has very ironically mentioned at this stage, she occupies a place just by the side of her husband to worship God. I'm simplifying the meaning what she has mentioned. After this much service, after this much sacrifice, after this much contribution in the family, a woman has to achieve a place to sit by the side of her husband so that she can worship Almighty. In a different way, this is actually a circumlocution. Circumlocution means you are telling a sentence in a different way, roundabout way. If this is the nose, you are showing the nose in this manner. This is circumlocution. Ironically, at the last stage, she is informing the readers that perhaps husband is the medium God, or the God at the middle stage, through which she can reach to the ultimate, that is the final God. But ultimately, husband is doing nothing. Being a male member of the patriarchal society, automatically he has achieved. He has occupied a place that is God, demigod. This is called demigod. Not fully God, but half God. So this is the system of the society under which a woman has to live. So this is the condition, this is the typical condition, wretched condition that I'm saying this sentence, that if a woman is not able to cope up the situation of a new family here I'm talking about groom's family, in-law's family, either she has to live in this world, otherwise she has to leave. L-E-A-V-E. So with this particular poem, I'm trying to give you a sketch that this is the lifestyle. This is the sketch in which a woman carries her life, giving up all expectations, dreams, nourishments, other things. This poem also talks about Aunt Jennifer. Who is Aunt Jennifer? Nobody knows. It is anonymous. Might be that poet has taken one certain name, uncertain name rather. Whether it's certain, whether it's uncertain, nobody knows, because poet has not left any hint for the readers to get an identity or definition of Aunt Jennifer. Nobody knows. So therefore we can take that somehow haphazardly or in the process of writing she has chosen one name, Aunt Jennifer. But it's very striking. Since she is talking about the married life, she could have stated as Mrs. Jennifer, but she did not do this. Aunt Jennifer. Here aunt is very symbolic because it talks about her age. Because almost she has come to an age, what I stated as mother, not I, the poet. Sarojini Naidu, she has stated, it's a middle age. What is the poem? She's drawing, she's doing an embroidery, where she's doing an art where tigers are playing. They are in playful nature, in the lap of nature. So tigers are in the playful nature, in the lap of nature. They're playing in greenery. It's very symbolic. We'll gradually unfold those symbols. So this is an artwork. You can understand this may be a pastime. And again, I'm saying this, art is also a translation of your expression. If you have a habit, or rather if you have any hobby makes you forget any pain, any frustration, any agitation inside. Because you are so much involved, you are so much engaged in that particular hobby that you forget about the external world that's going to trouble you all the time. Every phase of your life. That's hobby. That's art. If I talk about art, then I need to tell so many things, but this is going to be a video class, so I'm not going to refer to those things. You can listen to the lecture of Muniba Mazari, one painter of Balochistan. She met an accident. She was hospitalized more than 2 years, and she had the dream that she will be an artist, a painter, but she has lost each and every expectation lying on the bed. But somehow when she could hold the brush and other things, and when she's able to draw, she tells that she's getting back the colors of life. That's art. So there are so many experiences. I could tell if I can get a class, but here just I'm giving you the introduction of the poem. So she is doing an embroidery where tigers are playing freely. And this painting is also symbolic. Symbolic in the sense, this is an expression of her mental agony. She also wants to play just like the tigers, and the tiger actually represents power, terrible power, because in tiger there is terrible beauty. So when she is painting like this, she is trying to convey a message that her mind, her physique, that also want to play just like the tiger. But somehow she is getting overpowered by so-called husband and patriarchal society. And when she is engaged with such kind of artwork, still her hands, she's trembling inside, because might be this is not approved in the family. So when you go to in-laws family, your like, your dislike, that do not matter. What matters is their expectations. What matters is their wish, their desire. So even though you like to dance, maybe it will be stopped because in-laws, they do not like dancing, or they do not like dance. These are the scraps. So here in the stanza, she has talked about that she is trembling inside. Quite freely, she cannot weave, she cannot knit that. That's a problem. So here, if entire emotion is not poured out, do you think it's going to be a perfect art? Think about it. I'm giving an example. Suppose you are singing. So when you are singing, you have to be full-throated. Full-throated means with your full voice. Every time if you think that if I touch the top note, and if my neighbor comes and complains that my child is studying and why are you singing at this point of time, definitely this is not going to be the artwork. You are diminishing that spirit. You are subverting that spirit. You are trying to back that spirit of an art. So ultimately this is not going to be an expression of art. Somehow you are practicing. That's the only thing. So when Aunt Jennifer, she's doing something, a patchwork, she's knitting something, she's weaving something, at the same time she's thinking inside that if her husband comes, then definitely she has to get a jerk. Ultimately you have to ask a question, is it going to be a pure art? Because emotion, expression, love, fascination, these things are not poured out in that particular art. If these things are poured out properly, then it's going to be particular and meaningful example or piece of art. So that's the condition. Even though she is middle-aged, she has contributed a lot in the family, but still power is not given to her. Power is always snatched by her husband. Therefore, she has given a description where when she is uplifting the needle, she feels the pain. She feels it's very weighty, it's very loaded. Think about the needle. It's very lightweighted. But she feels that it's very heavy. Heavy in that sense, it talks about the reluctance of the in-laws, that they do not approve it, they do not like it, they do not support. And therefore, when she is picking up a needle, she feels that somehow it's very loaded task, it's very weighty task. But it's not happening. But here in her painting, tigers are playing freely, they are fully liberated. They are enjoying nature. So it also talks about her anguish and pain. That she also wants to be free like the tigers. She wants to get back the power. A tiger in a cage in that particular poem, prescribed in class standard 10, I have mentioned that if tigers are free, they can unleash the power. Here, through the expression, through this painting task, weaving task, Aunt Jennifer wants to unleash her passion, her desire, expectations. In the second stanza, she has talked about her rings. She is wearing the ring. Ring becomes a symbol of exchange of love. The ring is very important. I can refer you some monumental tasks where ring takes a vital role. Abhigyana, Shakuntalam. You can talk about The Merchant of Venice by Shakespeare. There is a film called Masan where ring takes very significant role. If you could watch this film, you can. But actually what I'm trying to say is this ring is actually an exchange of love, sharing of two hearts. Jadidang hridang mama, tadidang hridang tava. This is. But ultimately, when she is wearing that ring, she feels it's very heavy. Now you have to ask a question. If it is an exchange of two hearts, if it is an exchange of love, you should be very much proud of that ring because your husband or your wife, I'm not talking about wife because this is patriarchal poem, so from that perspective I'm going to pinpoint it. So whenever your husband has given that ring, so it should be very much precious. You should be very much proud about your ring. And you want to die with your ring, wearing that ring, because this is the last gift, maybe the precious gift in this world. Merchant of Venice also shows the same reference. When Jessica, the daughter of Shylock, she has sold that ring, Shylock gets frustrated and agitated. Rather, he becomes totally outrageous that how could she do it? The ring may not be very, very precious monetarily, but emotionally it's going to be very sound. So a ring is more emotional connection, not monetary connection. It may be an iron ring, but on the day of marriage, your husband has given that ring. So maybe that compared to diamond, compared to platinum, it's really cheap. But emotionally, it's very, very valuable, precious. But this same ring looks very weighty. And she thinks when she dies, still she will not be free. Why? Because she is bound by that ring. Such a wonderful idea. Think about the level of the poet that she could touch the hearts of the readers. Even though she is dead, she is not fully free from life because this ring survives in her finger. That is what she has mentioned. Wonderful line. At last, she comes back again, especially she here, I'm talking about the poet. She again comes back to her painting. It's not painting, it's a knitting task. That even though she's really patched up in the family responsibilities, family abnormalities, familial contradictions, ambiguities, but after all, the tigers are free. So I can tell like this painting work, again I'm repeating painting, it's not a painting. Somehow what she's doing something, she's weaving. This artwork is trying to channelize her inner thoughts. Through this, the poet is trying to share her idea that she wants to be free like the tigers, and she wants to play in the green in front of men, because tigers are not frightened by men. Even men are really powerful. I told that man is the most powerful creation, rather human beings are the most powerful creation. But after all, in front of beast, physically, human beings are nothing, meaningless, stifle. So therefore, she wants to play, she wants to dance, she wants to move in front of man just like the tigers. This is the expectation. This is our anticipation. We have no idea whether she could achieve this. But a lady who has gone that much sacrifice, a lady who has left everything after 25 years life. Now she's a new family. She has coped up all the troubles and hurdles of the family. She has done her best to satisfy everybody's expectation without satisfying her expectations. Can't we pay a little bit respect? Can't we pay a little bit sympathy to that lady so that she can cherish her expectations, dreams, desires? So it's our task. That is what the poet is trying to say, trying to share. And she's trying to put the idea, stuff the idea to the sensitive readers. Before I start the stanzas, please do watch the film Panga, because here the film also talked about that if you want to achieve the complete success of the family, you have to help women, where we have to support women, and Panga talks about that. So please do watch that film so that you can reach to the pinnacle of your understanding. That is what the poet has tried her best to insert an idea in the minds of the readers. In our next session, we will deal with the stanzas and we'll be able to complete things. If you have any question, write down those questions. Whenever we will have a face-to-face communication, we will deal those questions. Thank you very much.